Hey everyone, Father Jared coming at you for today's daily reflection. Sorry, you're stuck with me. See, that's always the kind of thing I say whenever, you know, I'm looking for some form of affirmation. And, on this day in particular, I was just reflecting on the nature of affirmation because, as many of you probably notice, I don't do a whole lot with social media just because for myself it's such a danger zone and an opportunity for sin in that I began to measure myself by how many likes or how many friends and all those sort of things you have on social media. And I just found for myself that that can be a rather misleading portrayal of reality. But then when I find myself in this ironic position is that, like in a normal state of things, like real life affirmation is just enough, it gives me enough that, to hear people sort of ask this part of your homily really touched me, or the fact that you were there whenever like for my family, whenever we were mourning, that was really meant a lot to me, or the fact that you reached out to me during that time was really, really just special for me. And so I'm used to that sort of thing being those levels to where I find affirmation in my own priesthood, and I find this level of affirmation in all of you. But now with having social distancing, not having public masses, and being rather distant, physically anyways, from many of you, I find myself with a dearth, a lack of, sometimes what I would consider to be a normal state of things, of human contact. And as I was thinking about this, as you've probably heard Father Sean and I mention many times, Saturday is Mary's Day. Saturday is the day on which we commemorate in a special way the Blessed Virgin Mary. And I think she sets such a good example because also one weird thing that happens with me whenever I receive affirmation is there's this tendency for me to be like, nope, gonna like just close up, gonna curl up and like just not acknowledge it. Like that can't be true. Like that was a really good homily, Father. Yeah, right. That's what I can sometimes think to myself because of my own negative self-thinking. But I think Mary sets out for us an example of what affirmation really looks like. After the angel Gabriel tells her this whole story about how she's going to bear the Son of God, about how he's going to deliver his people from their sins. And the angel notices that she seems to be a little scared and says, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." And Mary's response is, "Behold, Mary's response is, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Behold, I am ready to receive what the Lord is going to give me in this time." And that comes with a whole lot. But she is willing and she opens, and she knows that whenever the angel says you have found favor with God, she simply trusts. She trusts that that's the truth and that God's going to be with her no matter what. That through the thick and thin of it, God will always be with her. God will always be there. And he will always affirm that she is indeed favorable with God. Even whenever, terrible things happen, like this. This is the priest that preached my first homily gave me this, and it's one of my favorite pieces of art. It's rather odd, but it's an image of Mary holding the dead body of Jesus. Even in that moment, God was affirming that he does show favor her, that he's still with her, he's still present with her, even as she's holding the lifeless body of God himself, her son. And I think that sort of comfort that can come from these levels of affirmation, that even in these times of trial, that perhaps my little encouragement today would be that to reach out and to give each other affirmation during this time. It can be lacking in a lot of people's lives. There's a lot of lacking of the human element. People in the media want to point fingers at each other and say it's their fault, they're doing too much, they're not doing enough, and on and on and on and on. And really at this time we should be gathered together to give thanks that even though we are far away, even though we may be sometimes hindered in what we would typically like to do or what we would usually like to see happen, we can still give thanks to the Lord and give thanks to others for the gift that they are to us, for the gift that you all are to me. For I am indeed deeply grateful to each and every one of you, the care that you have shown to me during this deep time, as I'm sure Father Sean is as well. And I hope you know that although, I may be physically far from you, I may not be as present on social media as, some would expect me to be, but I hope you know that you're all held in prayer are all held my thoughts, and I hope that you all know that you are indeed loved.